Did you know your sexual energy can be used for nourishment? And I've touched on it a little bit here and there in previous podcast episodes. So today I would like to go even deeper and actually show you a way that you can intentionally nourish your full body with pleasure. So much of self-care that is out there is so surface level. I like to think of it as like frou-frou self-care. It might be getting your favorite treat, which in itself is great. It's something I like doing, but you can go deeper with it with that intentionality and really savoring it, enjoying it, right? That's where that real pleasure comes in, and that kind of sparks your sexual energy in different ways. And other things that I see talked about are like girls' night out with friends, put a face mask on, this and that. And although all of those things have a time and a place, I'm not saying they're wrong in any way, they definitely serve a purpose, but so many of them are band aids. They're surface level, they might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't go deep enough. And it leaves you often with the same sense of feeling depleted. You go back to your depleted state quite quickly afterwards, especially if there's drinking involved. You tend to wake up not feeling the best, and so it just perpetuates throughout the day. So the alternative is where you can have a regular pleasure practice. And in doing this, using the tricks I'm going to share with you to truly nourish yourself from the inside out with your sexual energy. Because, like I always touch on, your sexual energy is your life force energy. So, there is a way to channel it, to nourish it, to feel revitalized. So I go more in depth in this in our upcoming free event, Revitalize Mom, Nourishing Through Pleasure. If you haven't signed up yet, the link is in the show notes. But when you are having a regular pleasure practice, your happy hormones are released. You are feeling good, you get that oxytocin, that dopamine, that serotonin, that stuff starts to flood your body. You are literally having nourishment through your normal, natural hormone chemical reactions. All of your senses are opened up, wide open. You are fully alive. You are more heightened into different things that are going on, because through a pleasure practice, you really work on your mindfulness, on your presence, because to be able to receive and feel true pleasure, you need to be there in the moment, not thinking about your to-do list for the day, not worrying about how you look when you're in a certain position, but feeling that sexual energy moving through you. That in itself, that presence, that mindfulness is so helpful for yourself. And then another side is our nervous system becomes quite balanced in this beautiful yin and yang of our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. So it's, yeah, the best way to describe it is just this beautiful balance of these two sides of our nervous system coming online to support us. And so, again, that in itself is creating more balance within our bodies. It's shifting us out of our stressed out fight or flight mode. It is also shifting us out of super depleted, relaxed, restful mode to have this beautiful balance that is nourishing. So, the trick that I want to share with you that you can incorporate into your pleasure practice, whether this is through self-pleasure or through partnered pleasure, when you are at your peak pleasure, shall we say? How many times am I going to say pleasure in this episode? I feel like it's going to be a lot, but that's okay. So whether or not you are actually climaxing or not, because the journey in your pleasure practice is about the journey. It's not necessarily about any sort of end goal. So you do not need to orgasm for this, just putting it out there, and also putting it out there for your pleasure practices, because when you take that off the table, you can again go down into that presence and enjoying the journey so much more when you unattach it from that end goal. So that's besides the point. When you are at a peak state of pleasure, climax or not, what I invite you to do is feel into that energy and then think of it soaking down and nourishing your bones, your blood, and your cells, and really breathing that energy throughout your body. It is such a beautiful practice. I actually heard of this first from Angela Thurston, who I have an incredible interview with her for Erotic Blueprints, which I'll try and link in the show notes for you. But she was at this like women network meeting talking about this. I was like, whoa, like what is going on? I've never heard of this before. And it really opened up my world, because I think so much of what we think about of like climaxing and having that orgasm or that peak pleasure is it's very expansive and outward and this big release. And so it's like we feel this surge of energy and then poof, it's gone. And like, what a waste. Like I say, sexual energy is life force energy. We don't just want to poof, have that go away from us, right? Like, let's do something about this. Let's work our energy, work our magic. And so rather than having it just poof, be gone and dissipate, you can bring in that breath, bring in that intention, and allow that pleasure to truly nourish you from the inside out, circulating through your body, going deep, deep into your bones, your blood, and your cells. It's such a beautiful tantric practice, one I personally do pretty much every time after any sort of peak pleasure, because I feel like it's just such a waste without it. Unless there's some sort of like kid interruptions where we have to like get back to mom life really quick. I try to do this all the time, and it really is so revitalizing. So that life force energy, it revitalizes you, it leaves you feeling more energy, and being able to circulate that sexual energy, it really helps balance your energy centers, as I talked about on a previous episode with the yoni breathing. Doing this sort of breath, working with your energy in this way, is a great foundation for more advanced pleasure practices, breathwork practices, and things like that. It funnels into sex magic, which I absolutely love. I'll have to do some episodes more on that later. I do touch on that in my free event. So just saying, that's there for you if you want to learn more, shoot me a message. But we're able to circulate this energy. We are able to free up blockages. A lot of moms have blockages in their root and sacral energy centers because of birth traumas, pregnancy traumas, different sexual experiences, feeling that whole hide from it, having that dark cloud hanging around, that creates blockages in our energy centers. So when you're able to do a simple practice like this, that isn't much to add on, when you're already having your pleasure practice, you're already having your pleasure experiences with your partner, and just taking that extra minute or two to sink in, to circulate that energy, it just really opens up this channel within you and nourishes you, energizes you, and ultimately allows you to show up as the best version of you. And like, who doesn't want that, right? Like, in a world full of stressed out, exhausted moms, like, I choose to be the one that feels energized and revitalized and sexy and radiant. And so this is one of those key ways of doing that and working with your sexual energy and life force energy. So once again, I feel like I'm blabbering on. I will leave it at that. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Are you like, oh, what the heck is this girl talking about? Or are you like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Tell me more. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at Jannine.MacKinnon. I will leave that in the show notes. And if you're not already signed up, I highly encourage you to check out my free event coming up, Revitalize Mom and Nourishing Through Pleasure, where I go even more in depth into all of this stuff. And I will also have a package with some different pleasure recordings and meditations and just so much stuff. I'm so excited for it. So the link is there if you're interested. And until next time, take care.